Welcome to the online public meeting for the Price Road Flexible Transit Study. I'm Aaron Xavier with Valley Metro, the project manager for this study. This presentation provides an overview of the study, including study background, flexible transit options, existing conditions, and next steps. Hard copies of this presentation can be found under the Resources tab on the project's website at valleymetro.org/price-road. Next, Jason Crampton with the City of Chandler will provide more information on the study background and the City of Chandler.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you to everybody out there watching along. We really appreciate your participation in this project and look forward to receiving your feedback. Before Aaron gets into the details of this study, I wanted to provide some background information and a little context as to why the City of Chandler is pursuing these alternate transit options for the Price Road corridor. This map shows existing transit service in Chandler. You can see that the North Chandler area has significant transit service, but service in South Chandler is quite limited. The only service in operation today is Route 96, which operates on Price and Dobson roads, but only during peak commuting hours from about 6 to 9 a.m. and 2:30 to 6 p.m. Chandler has a number of large employers on Price Road, including PayPal, Wells Fargo, Northrop Grumman, and Intel, but many of these employers have no bus service or very limited bus service. The City of Chandler Transportation Master Plan was updated in 2019, and it made several recommendations to improve transit in Chandler, including a recommendation for serving this corridor. This map shows the transit recommendations from our Transportation Master Plan, including a number of different flexible transit service areas shown as A through G on the map. The Price Road corridor would be covered by Service Area A, but this study looks at an even larger area, incorporating areas A, E, and parts of D as shown on the map. The recommendation for these service areas is a more flexible form of transit, so instead of a large bus that follows a fixed route, we're looking at smaller vehicles that will travel to requested passenger locations through a smartphone app anywhere within the service area. Aaron will provide more detail on how this transit service works, but ultimately this would be a more nimble and convenient transit service for passengers. And now I will hand it back over to Aaron to provide more detailed information.
Thank you, Jason. I'd like to briefly discuss the background of the Price Road Flexible Transit Study to provide context on the purpose of the study. The study area covers roughly 18 square miles within Chandler, as shown in the dark, shaded area of the map to the right. As shown on this map, Chandler has a variety of bus routes that serve the area. The area also includes many of the city's largest employers and commercial centers, such as Chandler Fashion Center, downtown Chandler, and offices for PayPal and Intel, to name a few. In order to serve Chandler's large and growing demand for transportation, a competitively convenient and affordable transit alternative can be implemented within the area. But there are unique access challenges in the study area that we are going to discuss further. This street view puts us on Price Road, south of Loop 202. Generally, this is a car-centric corridor with wide roads that are great for motorists but may be daunting for transit users due to longer walking distances and higher car speeds. In addition, areas along this road feature large parking lots and scenic landscaping that further extend walking distances for potential transit users. So, any potential transit service would have to contend with these landscape features in order to provide competitive service options that can better serve the growing needs of the area. While this environment poses challenges for fixed route transit access and productivity, the flexible transit options, which I will discuss in a moment, are less affected by these challenges. With that said, I'd like to talk about flexible transit in more detail and provide definitions and examples. After that, I'll go over some highlights of our existing conditions analysis to provide further context on the study area. Flexible transit is on-demand service that's hailed by a phone or app, a lot like Uber and Lyft. Relative to traditional fixed route transit, flexible transit service reduces walking time wait time, and distance by providing pickup at the nearest corner or right to your door and providing real-time vehicle tracking. In addition, in-app or mobile fare payments provide further convenience. But unlike Uber and Lyft, flexible transit services are designed with zones in mind, so regional trips are served by connecting with the regional transit system. Larger vehicles like vans or even minibuses provide shared trips that reduce traffic and optimize the efficiency of the service. Fares are typically low, usually similar to the cost of a local bus fare, so about $2 or $3. Flexible transit can take many forms, from a fixed route that can make on-demand deviations within a fixed distance, also known as a flex route, to a service zone without a defined route, which we call microtransit, as shown in this illustration. Like many transit modes, microtransit and flex routes can vary widely. Different operating characteristics offer different trade-offs for users and the service provider. For example, larger zones offer broader regional access and fewer potential transfers, but smaller zones offer shorter wait times and lower costs to implement. Another consideration is where the service picks up riders, which is typically either at their door or at the closest street corner. Curb-to-curb service, also known as door-to-door service, is more convenient, with shorter walks to access the service, but it can also lead to longer overall wait times because it often produces inefficient indirect routing. Alternatively, point-to-point service with pickups at all street corners within a zone allows for more direct routing to requested trips, but would require longer walks for riders than curb-to-curb service, and as a result may not be suitable for many paratransit users. Here's an example of the vehicles typically used for microtransit and flex service. Smaller than a typical 40-foot bus, a van or a minibus is better able to serve quieter streets and navigate parking lots. They're also more affordable to operate, which keeps fares low. Here are additional examples of even more compact vehicles. To the left is a minivan, which has a smaller capacity than the previous van, and to the right is an electric vehicle that provides microtransit service. As mentioned previously, many of the current flexible transit services provide complementary mobile apps that provide additional conveniences beyond traditional transit service. Users can hail rides via a mobile app and track their vehicle in real time. These apps also allow users to pay fares and plan for longer trips by linking with other regional transit services. This study will primarily focus on two models of flexible transit, microtransit and flex route service. As mentioned before, microtransit is very similar to Uber and Lyft, where rides are hailed by phone or app, and connects with broader regional transit service, like the example shown here from Dallas. This service is typically point-to-point or curb-to-curb. Alternatively, flex routes are more like traditional fixed route service, as they have set routes with scheduled stops. However, unlike fixed route service, flex routes can deviate from their set route to respond to hailed stops within a certain distance. The map on the right shows a flex route in Salt Lake City, with the set route in dark blue and the buffer or deviation area in lighter blue. The buffer identifies an additional service area where rides can be hailed. Riders can also board at traditional stops at scheduled times. These routes also connect with regional transit routes to facilitate longer trips across the transit network. Now I'm going to discuss the analysis we have completed up to this point. For the last several months, the study team has reviewed existing land use and demographic data and the potential service models that might work best for the area. We are currently in the process of incorporating input from stakeholders in the broader public, and will use this input along with the technical analysis to develop potential service alternatives. With that said, I'd like to share a few highlights from the current technical analysis to provide further context. Commuting statistics show the importance of meeting the transportation needs of employees in this area. Approximately 60,000 employees commute to and from the study area, equating to over 500,000 trips every week. And about 50,000 of those weekly trips are within the study area, which could be served well with the microtransit service. It should be noted that the current trip levels are slightly lower due to the pandemic. Employment data highlights levels of employment density throughout the area. This information can be used to determine potential service zones. The darker areas in the map highlight higher levels of employment density. As shown in the map, the highest employment density is centered around the Price Road corridor, with downtown Chandler and Alma School Road showing hotspots as well. Population density data shows a slightly different dynamic. The darker areas on the map highlight denser residential populations. As shown in the map, higher population density occurs in the northeast portion around downtown Chandler and decreases farther west and/or south. For comparison, these two maps show current and projected population density. As you can see, there is expected growth in the downtown area and near Alma School Road and Queen Creek Road intersection. When thinking about how regional trips might be served with flexible transit, it was also important to consider the layout of the current bus network to see where the highest activity connections are currently. This map shows heavy activity across Chandler Boulevard from McClintock Drive to Arizona Avenue, along Arizona Avenue from Ray Road to Germain Road, and at the Chandler Fashion Center. Connections to these areas will be important. In addition, providing more frequent service along Chandler Boulevard and Scottsdale Road could help facilitate transfers to those heavy activity corridors. Now that the initial analysis is complete, the next step is to analyze potential flex route and microtransit service concepts. We'll look at coverage zones and operating characteristics such as average wait times to identify cost variations. Once potential service concepts are developed, we will be back out to the community presenting the concepts and seeking input. To provide input on the study, please visit valleymetro.org/price-road to take a survey and provide location-specific comments on an interactive service area map. Comments on this portion of the study will be accepted through January 25th, 2021. Thank you for your interest in the study. If you have comments or questions, please contact Christy Shepard at kshepard@valleymetro.org. That's KSHEPHERD@valleymetro.org or 602-299-9581. Thank you.